Hey there guys, and welcome back. Thanks so much for joining me here. We're going to dive into some more video game news on the channel. So we're going to be talking about this. Europe is now cracking down on misleading microtransactions in online video games. I mean, it's about damn time. With these big video game studios and these developers using these kind of shady, manipulative tactics to get kids and people to spend more and more money on microtransactions, it's getting out of hand, it's getting out of control, and some sort of government body needed to step in and do something about this because it's just absolutely ridiculous. They're manipulating people, vulnerable people and young children into almost gambling with loot boxes, spending money, getting them addicted, all these kind of shady practices, and it has to stop, or at least has to be brought down to a basic level. So guys, before we get into this article and start breaking down this information, I want to show you a few examples of the negative effects that the gaming industry is having on young children and vulnerable adults with these kind of shady microtransaction practices. So let's start off here. On the BBC, my son spent 3,160 in one game. Also on the BBC, Roblox, 10-year-old spent 2,500 of mum's money without her knowing. Moving over to thisismoney.co.uk, my son spent nearly 1,000 on iPad games, including Roblox. Moving over to Eurogamer, boy spends mum's £1,000 on Xbox Live. On TechSpot, dad discovers his 11-year-old daughter spent almost 6,000 on Roblox. And finally, over to dailymail.co.uk, 1 in 6 children steal money from their parents to pay for addictive computer game loot boxes, survey reveals, as campaigners call for them to be classified as gambling. And that tells you everything you need to know there. Don't get me wrong guys, I'm not saying that the parents aren't partially responsible. Of course they are. The parents should have oversight of what their kids are spending money on. Obviously, the parents shouldn't have their credit cards attached to these games. I completely understand that part of the blame is on the parents. They should be watching what their kids are doing, what the kids are spending money on, and they should be keeping track of, the expenditure. I completely understand from the parents' perspective. But this video is mainly focusing on the perspective coming from the actual gaming companies themselves. So it's their responsibility to not manipulate kids and vulnerable people into spending these amounts of money. So that's kind of the angle that I'm coming at this from. But let's go back over to the article and continue reading and breaking down this information. But anyway, we're going to get into this article, we're going to break it down, and we're going to see exactly what's going on with microtransactions going forward in the European market. So this comes to us from GameFragger.com. Europe is cracking down on misleading microtransactions in online games. It's about damn time, I say. So the EU is cracking down on misleading microtransactions, urging game developers to clearly show real-world prices instead of hiding them behind virtual currencies. New guidelines aim to protect consumers. I cannot stand this. When you buy a game and you have to buy these kind of fake currencies with real money in order to buy stuff, it's so manipulative and it's so dumb. If I want to buy a skin or a weapon or something that, say for example, it cost me £12 to buy a skin, £12 for a character. The only way I can do it is by buying £15 worth of premium currency, which is not what I want to buy in the first place. They force me to spend £15 on fake currency in order to get a £12 skin. Knowing that I'm going to have money left over, that manipulates me into having money left over on my account, which is then going to get me likely to spend more money on another transaction. They do these kind of manipulative practices on purpose. They employ kind of psychologists to get people to spend more money. And it's just it's really scummy in some ways. So online gaming has become a major industry, not just for its gameplay, but its real money it brings in through battle passes, cosmetic items, skins, emotes, and loot boxes. Games like League of Legends, Fortnite, Overwatch 2, Marvel Rivals, and others rely heavily on microtransactions to fuel their revenue. Yeah, I kind of get that. If you've got a free-to-play game and you need to kind of fuel the revenue, a free-to-play game having microtransactions, that's absolutely fine. I don't think many people have an issue with that whatsoever. But when you spend $60 or $70, a full-priced premium AAA game, there should not be microtransactions in sight in a fully priced single-player game. It should not be there, but it still is, and they're still trying to con people into buying these microtransactions in a fully priced game, which is just not acceptable. But while buying a new skin or battle pass might seem harmless, The way that games present their pricing, especially through virtual currencies, it can make it easy for players to lose track of how much they're really spending. Yeah, I mean, in the top right hand corner, like for instance, in this picture here, in the top right hand corner, you have all of these fake different currencies. You have this gems, and you have these crystals, and you have these emblems, and all of these different currencies, and you buy this currency with real money, and you can transfer it into this currency, and this currency is for this skin, and that currency is for that gun. And when you're paying with fake currency that's just a number in the top right hand corner of your screen, like it says here, you don't know how much money you're spending, especially young kids who don't have any comprehension of real world finances. They're just seeing a number get smaller in the top right hand corner. To them, this fake premium currency is part of the game. It's not a real world price tag. They don't understand, especially when it comes to vulnerable young adults as well, who maybe aren't familiar with, spending habits in the real world yet. And it's just taking advantage of vulnerable people, and it's really, really shady. And me just talking about it right now is getting pissed off. I'm kind of getting annoyed about it, but I'll try not to. So that's exactly what the European Commission and the Consumer Protection Cooperation Network, that's a mouthful, European Commission and Consumer Protection Cooperation Network, are targeting with a new set of guidelines aimed at curbing deceptive practices in games that use virtual currency. I think virtual currency should outright be banned. There is no need to have virtual currency within a game. That absolutely isn't. You can use virtual currency as just a normal currency within a game. If you're like in a fictional world that has a fictional currency that you use, that's absolutely fine. But changing real world money into a fake currency, I think that should be outright banned. There's no need to have that happen. The change follows an investigation into Star Stable Online, a multiplayer horse-themed game, which found to have practices deemed particularly harmful to children. This has now sparked a wider push to better protect consumers in the European Union. The new EU guidelines introduce 7 key principles that developers and publishers are encouraged to follow. So, number 1. Prices for in-game items must be clear and transparent. That goes without saying. I mean, in any other walk of life, when you walk into a shop, the price is clear and transparent. If I walk into a grocery shop and I see, I don't know, for instance, if I see a bag of carrots, it doesn't give me like a fake premium currency price for the bag of carrots that I have to switch my, real world money into fake currency in order to buy a bag of carrots. Like, it doesn't happen in the real world, and consumer trading practices would be straight onto it if a shop tried to do that. But in video games, because it's digital, they can get away with it. Number 2, hiding the true cost of items through obscure virtual currency systems should be avoided. Absolutely, it's the same sort of thing we were just talking about. Transferring real world money into fake currency to then manipulate that currency. The fake currency has a different value to what the real world currency does, which kind of, it confuses people and confuses vulnerable people into spending different amounts of money. Number 3, players shouldn't be forced into buying more virtual currency than they need. That's exactly what I said right at the beginning of this video. If you want to buy a skin that costs £10, why are they forcing me into buying a virtual currency pack that costs £12? Like, they should just let me spend the exact amount of money that I want to spend on the exact item. Don't make me buy a bundle of virtual currency that costs more than the actual item that I want to purchase. It's kind of crazy. Number 4, all key purchases details should be disclosed before any transaction. So you should be getting a clear description of exactly what's in the bundle that you're buying, rather than buying it and then hoping for the best. Basically what a loot box is. You buy it and then not knowing what you're going to get. So number 5, players must retain their legal rights, including the right to withdraw from a purchase. Absolutely, that goes without saying. That should be in any walk of life, for any business transaction, anywhere. Number 6, contracts should be fair and written in simple, clear language. Number 7, game design should consider and respect vulnerable users, including children. Yeah, well, I mean, that's what they're mainly going after, isn't it? Children. They know that children spend ridiculous amounts because, like I already said, they don't have a real-world concept of finances and spending real-world money. Like, they don't care. They've got their parents' credit cards linked to their account, and they just spend money willy-nilly without any real-world consequences. They don't understand. Until their parent gets a really giant bill at the end of the month, and, that child's going to be in trouble. So, these changes don't outlaw virtual currencies outright, sadly, but they do challenge how they're currently used. Players in the EU may soon begin to see real-world prices displayed more clearly, removing the guesswork and confusion around the conversion rates and bundles that often encourage overspending. Yeah, and then we have a picture here. I think this is from is this from Overwatch? I think it is. I'm not an Overwatch player, so I'm not sure, but I think it is based on what the graphical representation here looks like. But yeah, I mean, this is what they do. So they give you 2 loot boxes, 5, 11, 24, and 50. Why is there not just a custom thing at the bottom here where I can type in, say for instance, I wanted to buy 4 loot boxes. Why can I not buy 4? Why do I have to buy 2 or 5? They do it like that on purpose because it's all designed to manipulate the brain into buying something you don't really want. And yeah, they put it at certain price increments to make you feel like you're getting a better deal when you're not. They're just trying to get more money out of you. So though these guidelines aren't legally blinding yet, they serve as a strong deterrent. Developers who ignore them may find themselves the target of lawsuits. Absolutely, I hope that is the case. Sue these mother effers. If they're going to con children and vulnerable adults, they absolutely need to get lawsuits against them. One that could be backed by the European Commission and the CPCN, giving consumers a very strong case whenever they do find companies that are breaking the guidelines. For now, this move only affects the EU. Yeah, sadly it does, but then if it takes place, if these rules get brought in as law, if they become, stuck within the gaming industry, then it's only a matter of time before it spreads to Asia, it spreads to North America, South America, and other places around the world. So let's hope that that's the case. The United States and United Kingdom have not yet followed suit. I'm here in the United Kingdom, so that's a shame to hear that it's not taking form in my country yet. Hopefully it does. Meaning microtransaction pricing may continue to remain murky in those regions. Still, this is a significant step forward in promoting transparency in gaming world, especially for younger and more vulnerable players. Are you happy about these new guidelines? Do you wish they were more or less strict on microtransaction in video games? Let us know what you think in the comments below. I think it should be a lot stricter. I think the prices should be clearly should be clear as day. There should be no virtual currencies within games because it's all manipulation tactics. There is no reason for a fake virtual currency to be there. I'm sorry, but I don't understand why you need to have a fake virtual currency that you need to exchange real money into. Like, I don't get why that is part of a game. The only reason it's there is to manipulate people into nickel and dime players. Other than that, I can't see a justification for it. Maybe you guys can, maybe you see it differently. I'm not really sure with that. But guys, so that's kind of where we are. So it looks like Europe is trying to crack down on misleading microtransactions. Hopefully, if these rules get fully instated, hopefully it spreads to the UK, it spreads to the US, Asia, and other big gaming markets around the world, and it takes foot because this needs to be brought to a stop. Nickel and dime vulnerable players, especially children. Having our children become gambling addicts and spending their parents' credit card money, it has to stop because it's ridiculous. But there we are, guys. So jump into the comment section. Let me know what you think about this. Do you agree with this article that we need to bring in stricter rules, or do you think that there's no manipulation here whatsoever, and this is just blown out of proportion? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know down in the comment section. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. As always, thanks so much for being here. Make sure you hit the like button before you leave. Consider becoming a subscriber of the channel if you haven't done so far. It goes a long way to supporting the content, so I'd really appreciate that. And as always, I will see you in the next video.